Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're having a better start to the week than I am. And for me, of course, the reason is again, our lovely partners in this industry, brokers. And yes, of course, I'm being sarcastic. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I usually teach about the trucking industry with a heavy focus on the spot market and freight market analysis. So if this is a topic that interests you, feel free to subscribe down below. But today it's going to be another venting session. So yeah, back to the lovely start of my week with brokers and their never-ending shenanigans. Now we all talk about brokers and price gouging. Heck, I even made a video about a month ago just ranting about this whole price gouging issue. Yes, currently the brokers are taking a huge chunk of each load because the market allows them to do so, right? Supply and demand. There are so many trucks in the market that brokers are not afraid that they will not move a load because of the rate. They know that someone is always going to take it. And that, of course, allows them to pocket pretty much whatever they want. Today, I'm not talking about price gouging. I'm talking about the huge disconnect between brokers and carriers, and this costs carriers in more ways than one. So you know what? This is something that I haven't done before. I think it's time to educate the brokers and shine some light on the reality carriers and drivers face in this industry. Ready? Let's go. So again, I need to rant a little bit, so I do apologize. A little bit of a backstory. One of our flatbeds is right now in Southern California because of home time. Usually I would not book a load to California, anywhere in California with a flatbed because this is a crap place with crap rates, and the only way to get out of this hellhole with a semi-decent rate is to go somewhere to the West Coast like Washington, Oregon, or Utah, or actually, especially Arizona, which is basically God's armpit when it comes to flatbed freight. But in this situation, it was home time, and unfortunately, we are based in California, for now at least. Obviously, I knew I would have a hard time or harder time booking decent paying freight from here. But of course, the crap storm of the market is not enough. We also have the ridiculous disorganization and disconnect, and many brokers, especially the big players, it seems like they don't give a crap. What am I saying? They don't give a crap. Maybe it's because they don't need to work hard to find a truck. Maybe it's because of the disconnect I keep talking about. But one thing is for sure, brokers, a lot of them, again, I'm not trying to put everyone in the same boat, but most of the brokers, especially the big players, they're so careless in how they work with carriers. So you know how I said in the beginning that brokers cost carriers money not just by price gouging and taking a huge chunk of the load and putting it in their pocket? Well, yesterday I finally, it was a difficult search, but finally I found a semi-decent load going to a really good place. Now I booked this load at 11 a.m. and the pickup time was 1 p.m. The deadhead was about 80 miles. So with the ridiculous California traffic, it was a 1 hour, 45 minutes to 2 hour drive. So obviously we had a very short window to actually make it to pick up on time. And with flatbeds, picking up on time is very, very important. Obviously the broker was pushing us to start going, not to lose time while he was working on the rate confirmation. Usually we do not move our trucks unless we have the signed rate confirmation in hand. But in this case, we decided to take a risk because of the short window we had. So my guy starts rolling, 5 minutes pass, 10 minutes pass, still no rate confirmation. I call the broker and he tells me that just give me 2-3 minutes, it will be in your inbox. Awesome, fantastic, not a problem. Another 10 minutes pass, so I start calling the broker back and I can't get through, no one's picking up. So obviously I become the crazy stalker who starts dialing and redialing the same phone number until I finally get through. Finally, this genius picks up the phone and obviously I ask him about the rate confirmation, what is going on? And this is the response I get. And I'm going to literally try to copy his tone of voice and what he said. Oh yeah, well, my coworker, he booked this load a while ago and I didn't know. So at this point, I'm obviously fuming because my guy already drove a certain amount of miles, right? And he also started his clock already. And I asked this human, I'm really trying not to use any foul language in this video, but trust me, my brain is full of adjectives. Anyway, I asked him whether he was planning to call me and tell me that there is no load. And he replies, yeah, I was. Are you kidding me? Christ almighty, this guy sounded like he was on something. And obviously I did not handle this well. I'm a very hot-tempered person, so not proud of the way I handled that, but yeah, I think they found a cheaper carrier. I think that's what happened. Now, before I start explaining how this costs a carrier money, I will be the first one to admit my own mistake, and it was a big one. Never move your truck until you have a rate confirmation in hand. Sometimes you will get lucky and the rate confirmation will come. Sometimes the load will get canceled for one reason or another. There are two brokers I refuse to work with. I will never take loads from them. Chop Tank and Megacorp. And the reason is, with them, they always did send the rate confirmations, but they ended up canceling each and every load while we were deadheading to the shipper. So I refuse to work with those guys. Do you think they paid Tono? Absolutely not. They kind of disappeared afterwards. So yeah, Megacorp and Chop Tank are the two brokers that I will not work with because I simply do not trust them. So why does this cost carriers money? Well, first of all, you're accruing miles, right? You're deadheading and you are spending fuel, and then the load gets canceled. So this was just a waste of miles and fuel. The second, and probably the bigger reason, is the hours of service. Once you start that hours of service clock, you cannot stop it. The shift clock, I mean, the shift time. The shift time starts ticking down no matter what. And after a few hours, it starts dragging the drive time with it, regardless of whether you're moving or not. So basically, my guy started his clock, he started moving, he drove only about 20 minutes or so, but the shift time was already started. So his clock was already ticking down. What does that mean? Well, that means that now I have to quickly find a load that will allow him maximum drive time, right, to make that load. So that is a bummer. Now, the worst thing that can happen, and this has happened to us several times, it's infuriating. You book a load, you start rolling, and the load gets canceled. But if you hadn't started your time, you would get a restart within the next couple of hours. And because you started rolling, that restart goes to crap. It is infuriating. It again happened to us a couple of times. It's horrid. Anyway, back to what happened yesterday. Then there was a broker who posted a load for $2,200 to New Mexico. Now, in the comment section on the load board, he said, "Send me your best rate." Awesome, sounds good. So I asked him for more money because $2,200, even though it's like $2.57 per mile, it goes to New Mexico, and New Mexico is a horrible place for flatbeds. So I asked him for a higher rate, and his answer is $2,200 best. So then I email him back saying, just out of curiosity, why do you post send rate if you're not open to negotiation? And he replies, curious where everyone is. Go look at the load board. I'm paying better than everyone else. Not much to negotiate, LOL. So basically, you're just wasting the carrier's time, asking them to send a rate and then not willing to negotiate. I mean, it's ridiculous. Then there was the third load that I booked. It had something like 3 pickups with 1 drop. It was going to a good area. It was paying very well. I negotiated a higher price, but then that load got canceled because one of the shipments wasn't ready, or so I was told. So basically, my guy was stuck without a load yesterday. So as I said before, many of us are so focused on the fact that brokers are price gouging that we forget that the biggest issue really is the disconnect. Most brokers don't know what hours of service is. They don't care about the legal weight limits. I've had a broker bribe me once. It was years ago, like 2-3 years ago, where he bribed me, telling me he's going to pay me more if we run an illegal load. It was overweight in California. Crazy. And of course, they don't know what the cost of operation for a carrier is. They are only taught how to get the most amount of money off of each load. Sales, that's it. They're not taught anything else. And it's really difficult to negotiate with someone who is oblivious to the reality of this industry. So right now, let's do a mini lesson for brokers. So I'm going to be using my own numbers here. This is from the beginning of the year for one of our trucks, just to show you what it takes to be a carrier, right? So Let's say that you are a broker who is paying $1.50 per mile for a 1,000 mile load, right? So these are our actual expenses for one truck. 47,555 miles since the beginning of this year. This is our fuel expense. This is the cost per mile. This is the equipment, which is the payments on those beautiful trucks and trailers that transport your fantastic loads. This is our insurance, maintenance, taxes, tools, and other expenses. The other includes tolls, washes, scales, all the things that we have to pay for. Here is the cost per mile. So in this case, when you offer $1.50, but our cost per mile is $1.55 on average since the beginning of the year, guess what? On 1,000 miles, we're actually losing $50. Now, granted, our maintenance expense is really high, and I actually removed $30,000 for one expense that we had, but yeah, this is what we earn on that load you offer, negative $50. Okay, fine. Let's adjust maintenance a little bit to make it a little bit more realistic, maybe, although there's no such thing, but let's say it's $1,200 some dollars per month. Then our total cost per mile, everything else stays the same. Our cost per mile is $1.10 per mile. So on this $1,500 load that you're offering, $1.50, we're making $400. And I'll get back to this. Now, this is my business partner operating. There is no driver wage. So let's take a look. Everything the same, the adjusted maintenance cost, and now we add just 60 cents per mile for a driver, right? This doesn't even include payroll taxes. And just with this, now our cost per mile is $1.70. So we are losing $200 on this load you're offering. But in the best case scenario from these three charts, we're making $400 on your load. So basically, my guy who is putting his life on the line every single day, living in a truck, not seeing his family for months. This is someone who goes out for 3 months at a time, not seeing his family for 3 months at a time. He is earning pretty much the same thing as you are, a person who gets to say sayonara every single night, go home, spend time with family, maybe enjoy a home-cooked meal. A little backwards now. So when you hear a carrier, a dispatcher, or a driver getting frustrated with you on the phone because of the rate you're offering, it's because in the best case scenario, these guys and gals who are putting their life on the line every single day to transport your cheap load are getting paid pretty much the same as you are, a person who is sitting in a relatively comfortable office and risking nothing but their time. Now, I wasn't showing this in hopes of changing anyone's mind on how much they should take off the top of each load. I understand. I'm not a moron. There's nothing I can say, do, or show you guys to make you take less. This is a free market. We're all in it to make money. But the reason I'm showing you this is to hopefully minimize that disconnect that is happening between brokers and carriers. So the next time a carrier, driver, owner, operator, dispatcher asks you for more money on that load, you can at least admit to yourself and maybe the carrier, if you're feeling brave enough, that this load is going to lose them money instead of pretending that you're paying a fair market rate. Now, I know there will be at least one comment, I love those comments, saying that if you don't like it, go find your own shippers. And to be honest, there's absolutely no rebuttal to this. So I'm here to provide a gentle reminder. The current situation with the overcapacity of trucks, it's scary, but it's a temporary situation. It always has been. It always will be. Now, if we look at the logistics chain, we have the shipper who has the freight that needs to be transported. On the other side, we have the receiver who needs this freight. In the middle, we have the carrier, the person who can actually transport that load. And in between, we have the broker who represents the shipper or receiver and the dispatcher who represents the carrier. The only three parties that are absolutely necessary in the logistics chain is the person with the load to transport, the person who needs that load, and the person with the wheels to actually transport it from point A to point B. It's going to sound horrible, but brokers and dispatchers, they're a convenience. Why am I saying this? Because when push comes to shove, A broker cannot have a job without carriers to transport those loads, but a carrier can have a job without brokers. So when you guys say find your own shippers, you know what? You're right. But it's very important to keep in mind that there are only 3 essential parties here, especially with the knowledge that overcapacity is a temporary phenomenon. If you as a broker are treating the carriers you work with like crap, what will happen when there is no overcapacity? Even in today's market, what will happen if you have a load where there are not a lot of trucks? How will you sell it? So pushing carriers to find their own freight as a broker, I would say it's a little bit short-sighted. The moment carriers stop taking your loads is the moment that you will start losing your hard-earned clients because you cannot provide them the capacity that you promised. But hey, you can always go get a CDL and move your own freight, right? Anyway, I know that I'll get a ton of opinions on this video, some in agreement, some in disagreement, but basically my popcorn is ready. Wishing you all continued patience in this craziness, and I will see you guys in the next video.